Good morning, everyone. This is the second time I've tried to do this video because the first time I realised my microphone wasn't plugged in. And we don't roll like that, do we? No. Anyway. So I got a cryptic text message last night from my friend in Texas. I don't know what it means. I'll tell you what it said, and then I'm going to speak to him later, and I'm going to find out all about that, and I'll do an update on that on my video later on today. Basically, guys, we're going to focus on what's happening in Eastern Europe and how everybody seems to be wanting to hand out nuclear weapons all of a sudden. When I woke up this morning, I was like, oh, I didn't expect that one. But yeah, so apparently Belarus now, but the Belarusians, they have nuclear weapons from Russia, and Poland is asking for nuclear weapons now from America. Again, if this is coming out in the mainstream media, it's kind of already done, and if I was a betting man, I'd say those American nuclear weapons are already in Poland, and they're just priming people for that. This comes off the back of, on the media this morning, it was saying like, what was it saying? It was something like, Poland turns on Ukraine. And then I read the article and I was thinking, that's not Poland turning on Ukraine at all. But anyway, that was the article, that was the headline. But basically, Poland have come out now and they've said, right, listen, you know what? We're going to start giving you guys, sending the Ukrainian men that we've got in this country, we're going to start sending them back to Ukraine for the military. But it's very key what it says in that article, guys. It says this could start as early as May. And what have I been saying for the longest time? Well, not the longest time. I've been saying for a couple of months now that I believe the earliest opportunity for the next phase, the next movement, potentially NATO troops going into Ukraine, will be the 17th of May. I've even given you a date, guys, all right? That's when I feel it may happen. It may not, it may happen, it may not. That's my speculation. Anyway, so let's put all this together, and that's what's pretty much going on around Ukraine. Don't forget, this Ukraine aid bill has been announced. Now, the issue is once the monies have been allocated, you then have to turn that money into usable stuff and get that usable stuff then to the front line, and that could take time. Now, Russia is seizing this opportunity and they're pushing hard to take as much ground as they can right now before these weapons come and before they get slowed down. Guys, this summer is going to be it's going to be wild if you live in Ukraine, if you live in Eastern Europe, even if you live in the UK, guys, because things are going to get worse here. Guys, if you follow, guys, please stick to the end because I've got a really weird one to go at the end. Now, I don't really take much stock in this, but I want you guys to tell me what you think in the comments. I'm going to save it till the end because it is a bit weird. It is a bit wacky, but, I just thought it may or may not have some significance because it is something that I've been looking at. And, people say to me all the time, they say, Sean, how come you get your predictions, so right? How are you saying things for so long? And I say, well, I don't discount anything. If something's out there and it's totally wacky and it's wild, I'll say, okay, and I'll look at it objectively. Doesn't matter how crazy it is. I will look at pretty much anything objectively. And a lot of people don't because they've got one-track minds and they're going down, if you're a hammer, every problem becomes a nail. And I'm not a hammer. But, that's why I'm pretty good with my predictions. So stick to the end, guys, and I've got a really weird one for you guys to fester over. Yeah, we've got more on the, so Kiev's obviously, they're really struggling now out on the Eastern Front because of this money that was, this money that was told that they'd be sent to him, because the Russians really do now have to dig down and get the, and push the Ukrainians back as far as they can before these weapons and before these new systems get here. So, guys, so in a nutshell, that is pretty much the update on Ukraine. Now, I want to talk about things close to home now. I want to talk about this thing that's come out about UK armed forces. I don't know how this is happening, but, the UK is really struggling with recruitment, and more people are leaving than are joining. Now, that has two effects, really. One, you get less people in the military, but two, you get less skilled people in the military, because those people who are leaving, who've maybe done 22 years, 20 years, 50, whatever, they've got a lot of experience built up. Once they're out, they're out. That experience is gone. And the new recruit, day one, week one, once they get to their battalion or their unit, they're not going to have that much experience. Although the numbers are there, they don't have that experience. And guys, you need that experience. You need people who know what they're doing. You need people who understand, who understand how to operate their systems, how to work in their team, how to be efficient. And there's so much more to warfighting than just pumping men into a situation. Because I think what we've seen in Ukraine that and Russia, that the numbers and the casualty rates are just phenomenal. They eclipse anything that's ever happened really since, dare I say, the First World War, which there was mass casualties. And the reality is we need trained and experienced soldiers. We don't just need numbers there. We've got I don't know if I can mention them, but we've got a private company dealing with the recruitment. Guys, it's been an absolute catastrophe. When I joined the military, I went into the military and I saw a I saw a corporal who was sat at the front desk. He was the first filter. He looked at me and he thought in his head, yes or no. When I told him I wanted to go parachute regiment, he thought yes or no, and obviously he thought yes. Then he put me onto a colour sergeant the same day. The colour sergeant then must have thought yes in his head, obviously. The next week, I'd spoken to a major, I'd signed my paperwork, and then I think it was about 2 months from the day I went to the the day I went to the Army Careers Office to to when I was actually in day one, week one of basic training. I'm hearing some things like 18 months. Recruits are having to wait. You wouldn't wait that long. What are you going to do for 18 months? If you want to go in the military and you go and you knock on that door or do it however the recruitment phase is, you should be expected to get in there and get your basic training done as quickly as possible. Guys, I've said, we need to pay people more. We need to look after our troops more. These increases on defence spending are, guys, I did defence spending yesterday. I don't want to keep going off on a tangent, but the UK, we get a really bad deal with defence spending. I don't know where the money goes. It just vanishes. We have too many professors in universities taking 100 grand a year. We have too many what's the word I'm looking for? Too many people who think about warfare and they don't actually produce stuff. Trust me, guys, in this third world war, we're gonna need stuff, not thoughts. Although thoughts are important. So yeah, the armed forces, guys, we really need to sort that out and push that forwards. Also, the head of MI5 in the UK has come out and he said that foreign states are targeting universities in the UK. This has been happening for 50 years, since the end of the Cold War, basically. The communists, the Soviets, potentially China. In fact, yeah, definitely China. They've realised that they can't win NATO on a punch-for-punch war. So they go to the universities and they start to change people's opinion, change people's opinion to a more socialist, more communist opinion. Then those people, when they leave universities, where do they go? They go to become career politicians. They come to be these academics. The problem with academics is it's full of too many academics and not enough problem solvers, not enough people like me who are practical people who've been out there on the ground. I've lived through these things. I've seen them firsthand. I've had companies. I've lost companies. I've had projects. I've failed projects. I've lived in these places that are in flames now. So I understand the people. I understand the culture. I've lived through it. Whereas these people who are making the decisions, they've read about it in a book, and they've read a book what somebody else's opinion is of that situation. So they're only getting somebody else's opinion at best. Guys, it's a terrible situation we're in. I don't know what the solution is, but that's the reality. These people who are now running the country have been they've been communized in universities, and this has been happening for absolute years. All right, and I think a good litmus test of this is what's come out recently. This investigation into UK Special Forces operating in Afghanistan. It's come out that there's alleged war crimes, alleged this, alleged that. Guys, you can't go to a war and be told to win the war, and then people complain. Now, I'm not, of course, war crimes, you shouldn't do war crimes. But the real war crimes are done by the people who sent the soldiers in the first place, all right? They're the people who should be held accountable ultimately. It's like, any company in the UK, whoever's the head of that company, they're held responsible for their company. It's, if, I don't know, let me think of an example off the top of my head. So if you work in a factory and your factory workers are never told to wear their PPE, they're told not to wear it and they're not provided PPE, who's at fault? Do you then go and blame the factory workers for not buying their own PPE, for not wearing their PPE, when the culture in that organisation is not of that? No, of course not. We need to lay off our military, stop hounding them through the courts, because you know what? Nobody in the military joined up because they didn't want to do a good job for their country. And that's the reality, guys, all right? Now, guys, I've been ravaging for 10 minutes, and I promised you a weird one, and I'm going to give you one. So remember these horses that ran through London the other day, and they were running through London. Remember, London, the city of London, is still one of the some people call it an esoteric capital of the world. I don't really put much stock into that. But what I did think of when I saw them, guys, and guys, just bear with me on this, okay? I don't put much stock into this, but I'm giving it to you as a weird one, as just food for thought. The horsemen of the apocalypse. So I was watching a video. I think I'll try and put the link in the description below. I think like Canadian Prepper or something. If you go see him, tell him I sent you. And he said, he thought about the horsemen of the apocalypse. And I was like, wow, yeah, you know what? And then I looked at the horsemen of the apocalypse, the white horse and the black horse. So let's see what the white horse and the black horse represent. So the white horse carries a bow and is given a crown upon its figure of conquest, perhaps invoking pestilence or the Antichrist. If you've been following what's been happening in Israel with this third temple and this red heifer and, the Antichrist, could that be a sign that the red heifer has now been sacrificed? Because it would fit perfectly into the dates of this of the timeline for these biblical prophecies to come true. So that could be, when they release those horses, that could be Britain signifying that, again, I don't know if this is true or not, but that could be people signifying that the red heifer has now been sacrificed. I don't know, guys. I'm just putting it out there. And then the black horse symbolizing famine. Remember, yesterday's video, I did videos on food shortages and how the world seems to be drastically destroying their own food sources whilst making it hard for those who are growing food to grow food and export it. So what we've got there, guys, it could signify famine and the Antichrist are actually here. I don't know, guys. Tell me what you think. Have I gone too bonkers? Have I waffled on for too long? Guys, we've been going 13 minutes. I've got so much more to go through today. I think today's going to be 3 video Friday. Don't forget to like and follow, guys, if you like these videos, and I'll see you later on today.